This video is an attempt to create a feature-length short film with illustrations. To do this, we needed to paint over 200 frames of watercolor illustrations into the medium of a film. This was a huge and unique undertaking. Earlier, we thought a fully illustrated feature film would be impossible and we should do it in the computer instead. But it had to be painted to give the right feeling and be as true as possible to the spirit of Matri Kiran. So, we came up with the idea of combining the illustrations with visual and audio effects. Hence, different teams of storytellers, musicians, illustrators, photographers, and editors were created who put their hearts and souls to faithfully render the style and not only learn the filmmaking process to follow the underlying material, but to also add the beauty of the movement in the process of adding visual and sound effects to bring this film to life.
Have you heard the story of the monkey and the crocodile, where the wise monkey escapes from the clutches of the wild crocodile? Or the story of the fish that beseeches rain god to shower rain, thus saving the people and other fish living in the water-deprived city from dying? Or the story of the golden goose, where the golden goose gives one of its golden feathers to a widow daily in order to help her.
These are Buddhist stories. They are one of the oldest and most popular stories in the world, known as the Jataka tales. Most of the Jataka tales are centered around animals that tell the truth of life. In these stories, the animals think and talk just like humans.
Around 500 years after Buddha's death, these stories started appearing in the pages of history. The largest and oldest collection of Jataka tales was written in Pali language. All of these stories were found in the basket of sutras. So far, 547 tales have been discovered.
But who had collected these stories? Nothing is mentioned in history. Many stories of Panchatantra, written by Pandit Vishnu Sharma, and Jataka tales are similar. Like the golden goose of Jataka tales and the bird that laid golden eggs of Panchatantra. There is a lot of similarity between Jataka tales and many Indian stories. You can say there is a common pool of Indian wisdom from where these stories have originated.
During those days, people couldn't read and write. So, the storytellers were given the responsibility of narrating Jataka tales. They were called Jataka Bhanaka. The storytellers would travel far and wide to narrate the stories and teach people the right conduct of living. The technique of narrating Jataka tales was very motivating. Before narrating the story, the situation was explained, when and where the story was first narrated, and to whom, and the reason behind narrating the story. Then, the significance and ethical values of the story would be explained so that the audience doesn't misunderstand the story.
Some Jataka stories were written in Sanskrit. However, no one knows where they came from. Like, some stories have been written by a writer named Aryasur. They have been illustrated beautifully in Ajanta and Ellora temples. Even today, Jataka tales are the most popular tales in the world. They provide such amazing insight and wisdom that everybody can learn something from them. The stories are ancient, but they are as relevant today as they were when they were first narrated.
The Goose and Her Son. The narrators are Nilab Das and Khushi Joshi. The characters are Mother Goose, Son Goose, and the Fowler. Voiced by Sanjana Sharma, Ashwin Rath, and Shlok Sinha.
Long ago, in a lush forest north of the city, there was a spacious freshwater lake dappled with lotus flowers. The lake was the favorite stopping place for many birds, including a flock of geese led by a kind, wise elder goose. She always did her best to guide her flock to safe waters where the food was plentiful and predators were few. The most dangerous of all predators were the fowlers, men who caught birds, particularly a skilled fowler, heard of this great lake with its many flocks of birds, found his way there. He set carefully concealed snares just beneath the water to catch geese and ducks.
News had reached the elder goose that more and more hunters were starting to come to the lake, so she planned to fly her flock past it. But the other geese were heartbroken. They yearned for the lake's beauty and its delicious fish, snails, and insects. She finally agreed to let the flock alight on the lake and found a quiet, secluded place. She thought she would be safe from men. Unfortunately, the skilled fowler had picked just this spot for his traps. As the elder goose was landing on the water and a snare caught her foot, the speed of her descent pulled the snare tight against her leg. It was so well set. She knew that neither she nor any of her flock could remove it. She also knew if she alerted the other geese, they would panic and more would be caught. She thought it would be better to let them feed for a while and then send them quietly on their way. After some time, when all the geese were well fed and happy, she said to her flock,
"It is time to go. Swim quietly to the middle of the lake and take flight to the south. I will stay here and feed a little longer."
The flock followed her guidance and flew for the south. After some time, the son of the elder goose noticed that his mother had still not joined them. He grew worried and turned back. He found her exactly where they had left her and discerned the situation.
"Mother, are you snared?"
"I am. Why did you land here? You could have been snared as well."
"Mother, I cannot leave you to a fowler. I cannot abandon you."
At this time, the fowler came creeping along the shore and saw the two geese in the area of his snare. At first, he was pleased to have caught them both, but then he saw that while one goose was definitely trapped, the other swam freely. This perplexed him.
In all my years, I have never seen a free goose stay with a snared one.
He crawled closer to the geese and stood up, expecting the unbound goose to fly away. It did no such thing, but swam closer to the captive bird.
"Fly away, son. Please, fly away. You will be caught as well."
"I cannot. If I leave, my heart will break. I will stay with you to the end."
The fowler listened to this and his heart ached with sympathy.
I have never seen or heard such emotion. Never did I realize that birds could have such feelings.
He waded into the lake and gently cut the snare holding the mother's leg.
Please go. You and your son must catch up with your flock. May you lead long and happy lives.
With gratitude to the fowler, the two geese rose from the lake and swiftly joined the flock. The fowler walked home, wondering deeply if he could continue his trade.
नेतृत्व की महत्ता। कथावाचक हैं अनंत अबी, समृद्धि लोहिया और जागृति असोलिया।
आओ सुनाएं आपको चितपुर गांव की कहानी। किसी समय में थी गांव में चारों ओर हरियाली। पड़ा ऐसा सूखा मानो ईश्वर सबसे रूठा। सूख गए तालाब, जोहड़ और नदी। गांव वालों के लिए यह दुविधा थी बड़ी। करें अब वे क्या? ना रही पानी की एक बूंद। तड़प रहे थे पानी के लिए, जीवन से रहे थे जूझ।
गांव के मुखिया के पास पहुंचे सब लोग। बताएं आप कैसे करे पार कठिनाई का ये दौर। मुखिया थे बड़े समझदार, समझाया सबको होगा ये मुश्किल समय भी पार। लेकिन एक युवा ने ना बात उनकी मानी, करने लगा वह अपनी ही मनमानी। लोगों को उसने उकसाया, गांव छोड़ने का रास्ता उन्हें दिखाया।
स्वयं था वह पथ से भ्रमित, कुछ लोगों को कर लिया एकत्रित। मुखिया ने उसे खूब समझाया, पर उसने न वह मार्ग अपनाया। गांव से वह युवा गया निकल, अनजान मार्ग पर दिया चल। इधर गांव में बीत गए कुछ दिन, सब कुछ सूख चुका था पानी बिन।
मुखिया बोले, नहीं है वर्षा की कोई आस। चलो यहाँ से देखे कोई और स्थान। पर जाने से पहले पास में है एक तालाब। बचा कुछा पानी ले लें अपने साथ। बस फिर क्या था, सब चल दिए मुखिया के पीछे। पशु समान के साथ सब बैलगाड़ी खींचे। रास्ते में मुखिया को लगी भनक, कुछ तो है जो उन्हें गया खटक। पीछे पीछे थे कुछ लोग, पानी के वे थे चोर। मुखिया बोले, सब मेरे पीछे आना, कोई रास्ता ना भटक जाना।
अब आगे का बताते हैं तुम्हें हाल। जब देखे उन्होंने रास्ते में कुछ कंकाल। गए थे जो युवा के संग, उन्हीं का हुआ ये हाल।
मुखिया बोले, करना ना तुम उधर का रुख, होगा वरना बड़ा दुख। सही पथ उन्होंने गांव वालों को दिखाया। सही नेतृत्व ने सबको कुशल मंगल लक्ष्य तक पहुंचाया। सच्चे नेतृत्व की महत्ता को दर्शाया।
The fish who worked a miracle. The narrators are Aisha Gupta and Advay Sethi. The character is Big Black Fish, voiced by Atharv Singh.
Once upon a time, a learned being was born as a big black fish in a pond. Though this fish was born as a type of fish that preyed on other small fish, this particular black fish never ate any other fish. There were many kinds of fish that were big and small. They all lived happily, swimming and playing in the pond.
There came a time of severe drought. The rainy season did not come as usual. The crops died and many ponds, lakes and rivers dried up. The fish and turtles were anxious and worried. They dug down and buried themselves in the mud, frantically trying to keep wet and save themselves. However, the crows were pleased by all this. They stuck their beaks down into the mud, pulled up the frightened little fish, and feasted on them.
The suffering and pain of the other fish touched the big black fish and filled him with sadness, pity, and compassion. He felt that they did not deserve to suffer. The big fish realized that he was the only one who could save them. But it would take a miracle.
The truth was that the fish had never hurt anyone. He was determined to use his power to make rain fall from the sky and help his friends and relatives. He pulled himself up from under the black mud. He was a big fish, as black from the mud as polished ebony. He opened his eyes, which sparkled like rubies, looked up to the sky, and called on the rain god.
"Oh, my friend, God of rain, I am suffering for the sake of my relatives. Why do you withhold rain from us and make me and my relatives suffer? I was born among fish, for whom it is customary to eat other fish. But since my birth I myself have never eaten any fish, not even one as tiny as a grain of rice. In fact, I have never taken life from anyone. My truthfulness and innocence gave me the right to say to you, make the rains fall, relieve the suffering of my relatives, do not allow the crows to feast on their hidden treasures."
The rain god heard the words of the big fish, whose innocence deserved a reward. After some time, the sky opened up with a heavy downpour, filling the rivers and ponds again, relieving many from the drought and suffering. The fish, turtles, and even humans rejoiced. They thanked the big black fish.
The Elephant, the Carpenters, and the King. The narrators are Raghav Sethi, Aisha Narwal, Suryansh Tomar, Mansi Tara Sharma, and Ishti Bhatia. The characters are White Elephant, King, Queen, Advisor, and Carpenters. Voiced by Aman Pawar, Tejas Yadav, Siddhima Bhattacharya, Vatsal Gupta, Ruhan Anand, and Prahlad Ramakrishnan Anantaraman.
Long ago, deep in the forest, north of Varanasi, a large elephant roamed. One day, he accidentally stepped upon a large splinter of wood, which lodged deeply in his foot and became infected. The elephant grew increasingly ill and at last could only lay on his side and moan. Some carpenters who often came into that part of the forest to gather timber for their work heard the deep moaning of the sick elephant. They found the suffering elephant and took mercy on him, carefully removing the splinter, cleansing the wound with warm water, and acting for the elephant until he was healed. The elephant was so grateful to be out of pain that he said to the carpenters,
"I would have surely died in agony had you not cared for me with such compassion. From now on, I will help you with your work."
So, the elephant joined the men. He uprooted trees, rolled them for trimming, and carried the logs to the river. He worked happily until it became too difficult for him as he grew old. He asked his son, a strong white elephant, to take over his work and to continue to repay the carpenters for saving his life. His son was happy to do so and set to the task immediately. He was as good as a worker as his father, and the carpenters grew equally fond of him. News of this wonderful white elephant spread to the city and came to the attention of the king, who loved elephants. He decided that he must own the great beast. He and a large group of his attendants went to the forest and found the carpenters at work with the elephant. The carpenters were honored that the king had come to see them.
Sire, what a joy to have you here. What wood can we supply you with?
No, I come not for wood, but for your white elephant. I've had my eyes on him for a long time. His strength is magnificent.
Though they were sad to lose their friend, the carpenters could not disobey the king.
He is yours.
But the white elephant could not budge an inch. He said,
"You must pay my friends a fair price if I am going with you."
The king gave the carpenters a rich reward for the elephant, but still the elephant would not move.
"You must provide my companions with new clothes for themselves and their family."
The king happily did as he was asked, and so the elephant accompanied him to the city and to the spacious, comfortable palace stables. Soon, the elephant became the king's favorite and the only elephant he would ride. They grew so close that the king came to care for the elephant as a dear friend, and the elephant was completely devoted to the king. Years passed, and one day the king became gravely ill and died. All the members of the court agreed that the white elephant should not be told of the king's death, lest it break his heart as it had broken the heart of the king's wife, who had just given the birth to the king's only son. The ruler of a nearby kingdom heard of the king's death and launched his troops against the leaderless kingdom. The court of the dead king was frightened and at a loss for what to do. Finally, one of the advisors beseeched the queen.
Please tell the white elephant of the king's death and seek his help. He is the only one who can save us.
The queen agreed and told the elephant the terrible news, and tears rolled from his eyes.
I am sorry that we lost our king. It is not a time to mourn, but to save our city. There are enemy troops gathered outside the city walls. Oh, elephant, please help us.
The elephant reached down and held the infant king tenderly and returned him to his mother.
For my dear friend and for my new king, I will send these invaders back to their land.
The men dressed the elephant in battle armor and opened the city gates for him. He trumpeted and charged into the enemy lines with such violence that the soldiers ran for their lives. He destroyed and trampled their entire camp. There, the elephant found the fleeing ruler and grabbed him with his trunk, held the terrified man, and laid him at the feet of the queen and the infant king. The courtiers shouted for the man's death, but the elephant stopped them and said,
Go back to your kingdom and stay there. Do not presume to attack those who you think are weak, as it may not be so.
The humble, defeated man fled with his troops. Time passed, and the young king took the throne and ruled with justice and compassion. The white elephant grew old and was adored and loved by all in the kingdom.